You began as a person, an innocent baby. No title, no degree, no resume, just raw image, pure potential, uncluttered by applause or accusation. And then, slowly, the world began to write on you. Your home, your street, your school, your news feed, your religion, each held a pen. Listen carefully, please, and write this down. The first battlefield of leadership is the mind that interprets what the world writes on you. Before you learned to speak, you were being spoken to. Before you chose a path was chosen around you. That is why today I am teaching you carefully, line by line, because what you decide to believe about yourself in these next moments will determine what you will permit yourself to become in the next decades. Leadership is not a position, not a chair, not a corner office. Leadership is the expression of a trained mind governing a God-given gift to serve a generation. Say that softly to your soul. As a man thinks, so he leads. Proverbs tells us, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. If you believe you are less, you will live less. If you believe you were created to rule over yourself, you will begin to steward what God placed in you. Hear me. Trapped in every so-called follower is a hidden leader waiting for permission from your own beliefs. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. I was born to lead. Say it until the old labels lose their grip. I was born to lead. Not to dominate people, not to crush the weak, not to control minds. I was born to master myself and to serve. That's our thesis. Great leaders don't seek followers, they govern themselves. Write that down. It is the pivot that turns a life from performance to purpose, from chasing applause to creating value. Let us locate your identity in the oldest constitution on earth. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Genesis 1:26. So God created man in his own image. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and have dominion. Genesis 1:27-28. Notice the plural. Them, male and female, equal image, equal blessing, equal mandate. And notice the object, creation, fish, birds, earth. The only creature on earth you are not authorized to dominate is another human being. Dominion is not human over human. Dominion is human over self, and stewardship over resources. That is the blueprint. Psalm 8 echoes it. You have made him a little lower than Elohim and crowned him with glory and honor. You have put all things under his feet. Psalm 85:6. Crowned, not cowering. Steward, not slave. That is you. Please write this down. Identity precedes influence. If you lead without knowing who you are, you will use people to find yourself. If you know who you are, you will use your gift to serve people. Titles don't make leaders, trained minds do. Positions don't create character, boundaries do. Applause doesn't produce value, benevolence does. Here is the roadmap for this journey. Put it in your notes and your calendar and your habits. 3 pillars: belief, train your mind; boundaries, govern your gift; benevolence, serve your generation. This is not a slogan, it is a strategy. Belief is the governor of your life, your internal constitution. Boundaries are your ethical fences, what your power will never do. Benevolence is your assignment, how your governed gift benefits people beyond yourself. When these 3 converge, you move from potential to trust, from talent to testimony. Now, let me dismantle some confusion quickly. Leadership is not charisma, that is performance. Leadership is not popularity, that is sentiment. Leadership is not control, that is insecurity with a microphone. Leadership is the disciplined deployment of your gift under the surveillance of a renewed mind for the benefit of others. Write it down in one word: stewardship. The Bible calls it faithful over little, ruler over much. Matthew 25-21. Rulership begins with you ruling you. If you cannot manage your appetite, your calendar, your emotions, your words, your money, and your time, you are not ready for anyone's applause. The first parish of leadership is your own soul. I need you to repeat after me, because repetition is the mother of conviction. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. I was born to lead. I am a ruler. I'm an owner. I am an employer, not to own people, but to own my mind. Not to employ subjects, but to employ my gift in the service of my generation. Jesus himself settled the argument when he looked at ambitious men and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. It shall not be so among you. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. Matthew 20:25-26. Translation, greatness is not crowds under you. It is a calling working through you. Listen carefully. There is a leader inside you that your culture may not have trained you to see. Some of you were taught to wait your turn, to ask permission to be yourself, to downplay your brilliance so others feel safe around you. That curriculum ends today. I beg you to be delivered from any philosophy, ancient or modern, that tells you leadership is reserved for the elite few. In this place, in this moment, we are returning to the King's decree. Image first, dominion next. Identity before influence. So we begin with one act of holy defiance. Choose to believe what God said about you over what life said to you. Train your mind until truth becomes your reflex. Govern your gift until your excellence becomes predictable. Serve your generation until your name becomes unnecessary and your impact undeniable. That is the path. That is the promise. That is the practice. Great leaders don't seek followers. They govern themselves. If you will master yourself, your fruit will find you. If you will steward your gift, your season will seek you. If you will serve your generation, your greatness will surprise you. Write this final line for today's foundation. Born in his image, assigned to steward, measured by service. Now breathe, square your shoulders, and declare it one more time with conviction that shakes the doubt out of your bones. I was born to lead by mastering myself and serving my generation. Listen carefully, please, because what I am about to teach you is the engine under the hood. Write this down. Your belief system becomes your personal philosophy. Your personal philosophy drives your leadership behavior. That is not poetry, that is policy. Philosophy simply means philo, love, sophia, wisdom. Your beliefs decide what you will call wise, and whatever you call wise, you will defend, promote, and reproduce. So when you see a person's leadership, you are looking at their private philosophy with a microphone. Public leadership is a photograph of private beliefs. As a man thinks, so he leads. Proverbs 23:7 says, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. I translate for your assignment, as you think in your heart, so you will lead in your house, your company, your church, your community. Please write this in a list and do not forget it. Ideas become beliefs. Beliefs become your personal philosophy. Your philosophy shapes your values. Your values inform your decisions. Your decisions create your habits. Your habits construct your character. Your character expresses itself as your leadership style. And your leadership style builds the culture around you. If you don't like the culture around you, you must challenge the belief beneath you. Change your belief system and you change your leadership outcomes. That's not motivational speaking. That's spiritual architecture. Where do these beliefs come from? They are formed by 4 silent teachers that arrive before your diploma. Family, school, religion, and media. Let me go line by line. Family. The first parliament you ever attended was your kitchen table. If your home taught you that your voice is an interruption, you will believe leadership is silence. If your home taught you that mistakes are punishable, not coachable, you will believe leadership is hiding, not learning. If your home trained you in stewardship, chores, honoring time, saving small coins, you will believe leadership is responsibility, not entitlement. Listen, my cousin, the tone of your parents became the text of your beliefs. Some of you grew up hearing, who do you think you are? Tonight I answer, image bearer, steward, servant leader. We are rewriting the family constitution. School, education is supposed to train dominion, not dependency. But if your schooling only conditioned you to pass tests rather than solve problems, you may believe leadership is repeating answers, not renewing systems. Write this down. Education without formation produces informed rebels or insecure performers. A trained mind is not the same as a packed memory. As a man thinks, so he leads. Religion. True religion should reconnect you to your source and restore responsibility. But if your religion taught you that holiness means waiting for heaven while neglecting earth, you will outsource your assignment to angels and blame demons for laziness. That's a dumb song. I'll be rich when I get to glory. No, the Bible says, occupy till I come, Luke 19:13. Manage, steward, lead. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, Romans 12:2. Transformation is not an altar event. It is a mental renovation. Don't confuse deliverance with freedom. Israel walked out of Egypt in a night. 40 years later, Egypt was still sitting in their heads. Independence is an opportunity to become free. Freedom is a decision to change beliefs. Media, screens are sermons. Algorithms are discipleship programs. If your media diet baptizes you in fear, comparison, and outrage, you will believe leadership is attention, not assignment. Write this down. Your mind is the governor of your life, and your inputs are the lobbyists. Whoever gets your attention writes your policy. Now, a warning as your shepherd and brother. If your belief system is sick, your leadership will become either oppressive or passive, two sides of the same broken coin. Oppressive leadership is insecurity with authority. It controls, it manipulates, it dominates. It confuses dominion with domination. It builds empires of fear and calls them order. You've seen it. The boss who humiliates. The official who weaponizes policy. The pastor who polices conscience instead of forming character. That is a diseased belief system expressing itself with a title. On the other side is passive leadership, abdication dressed as humility. I'm just waiting on God. While gifts gather dust. That's just how it is. While problems scream for solutions. That's not meekness. That's mental slavery with good manners. The kingdom forbids both. The rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. It shall not be so among you. Matthew 20:25-26. And also, to him who knows to do good and does it not, to him it is sin. James 4:17. Oppression and passivity are both sin against your design. Let me diagnose the difference between delivered and free, because some of you are frustrated with outcomes while protecting the beliefs that produce them. Deliverance is when the condition changes around you. Freedom is when conviction changes within you. Deliverance parts the sea. Freedom renews the mind. Deliverance is an event in your history. Freedom is a habit in your present. That's why God told Joshua, meditate in this law day and night, then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Joshua 1-8. Meditate, turn it over, rewrite your policies, install updates in your thinking. Write this down. The Bible is not a book of religious rituals. It is the King's constitution for mental governance. So how do we begin renovating beliefs? We start with exposure, exegesis, and expulsion. Exposure. Bring your assumptions into the light of truth. The psalmist says, in your light we see light. Psalm 36-9. Exegesis. Read the word until the word reads you. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12-2. Expulsion. Evict every thought that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Casting down imaginations and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10-5. That's governance, language, arrest, detain, deport. You are the governor of your mental territory. Tell your neighbor, say it loud, renovate before you elevate. Write this next sentence like legislation. Beliefs become policies. Policies become practices. Practices become public trust or public trauma. If you believe people are problems, you will pass policies that punish. If you believe people are image bearers, you will design systems that dignify. If you believe scarcity is ultimate, you will hoard and exploit. If you believe God is provider, you will steward and share. The difference between a corrupt budget and a compassionate budget is not numbers. It is beliefs about God and people. I want to speak courage into your capacity. You can change what you believe. You are not a victim of your village. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. Free to govern yourself. Free to yield your power to serve. Free to say no to the narratives that trained you to wait for permission to be what you already are. Begin with one daily discipline. Replace the loudest lie you believe with the loudest truth God has spoken. Say it until your nervous system surrenders. I am made in His image. I am blessed to have dominion. I govern me. I do not dominate people. I serve my generation. As a man thinks, so he leads. And as a community thinks, so it is led. In a moment, we will uproot some imported myths that trained us to follow, not to govern ourselves. But for now, settle this verdict in your heart. If you will change the architecture of your beliefs, you will change the architecture of your leadership. Train your mind, and your feet will find the path. Govern your thoughts, and your hands reveal what your heart has seen. And when your beliefs are healed, your leadership will stop swinging between oppression and passivity and become what it was ordained to be. Stewardship that dignifies, service that multiplies, dominion without domination. Listen carefully, please. We are about to evict tenants living rent-free in your head. I promised you we would uproot imported myths, and I will do it line by line. Write this down. Many of you are being governed by ideas older than your great-grandparents. Not laws, ideas. Not soldiers' syllabi. The prison is philosophical, and its bars are beliefs you were never told you were carrying. Let us begin with the Greeks. The Greeks believed leadership was the privilege of the naturally endowed. They assumed a hierarchy baked into the universe. Some are born to think, others are born to toil. Hear the words they used. Aristos the best, thus aristocracy, the rule of the best. Oligarchy the few, thus oligarchy, the rule of the few. Even their democratia was limited to male landowners of the polis. Women, slaves, and foreigners were spectators, not citizens. They worshipped charisma as a mystical spark given to a chosen few. The very word charisma meant gift of the gods. So if you didn't glitter with natural brilliance, your duty was to clap for those who did. Listen, that idea did not die. It moved into your textbooks. It told you that because your voice stuttered in 3rd grade, you are not a leader. That because your last name carried no coat of arms, your future must carry someone else's bags. I beg you, write this down. This is a lie. Then came Rome, the world's greatest exporter of other people's ideas. The Romans adopted Greek philosophy and covered it in concrete, roads, and law. Greek elitism was baptized into Roman lordship. Imperium, the right to command, became the definition of authority. Patricians over plebeians. Patrons over clients. Caesar as Kyrios, Lord. The sword as policy. The rulers of the Gentiles loved to lord it over them. Jesus named it and rejected it. It shall not be so among you. Matthew 20:25, 26. Rome took the Greek myth of the elite few and scaled it into an empire, then handed it as an inheritance to European kingdoms. Follow the trail with me. Greeks to Romans, Romans to European empires, Franco, Hispania, Anglo-Britannia, who colonized continents and coded that same myth into classrooms, catechisms, and civil service exams. So you end up in a nation thousands of miles from Athens and Rome, and yet the curriculum says the same thing. Wait for the great man. Follow the strong woman. Become a fan. Papua New Guinea is ruled by the same ideas the Romans had, not by their governors now, but by their governance philosophy. The Bahamas, Ghana, India, Brazil, the uniforms changed. The ideas stayed. You were trained to pass tests, not to pass bills. To memorize answers, not to renew systems. To seek permission, not to govern your gift. That's why Paul shouts across centuries, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men and not after Christ. Colossians 2:8. Spoil means to kidnap ideas, can abduct a nation. Now, let me expose the central myth so you can tear it out by the roots. The myth says there is a chosen few marked by an otherworldly charisma, something you can admire but not acquire. It tells you leadership is a genetic lottery, not a cultivated character. It says the spotlight makes you a leader. Nonsense. Character makes the light worth turning on. Write this down. Charisma without character is a public hazard. Character with competence becomes public trust. The Greeks deified performance. The kingdom dignifies formation. God does not anoint egos. He anoints assignments. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, 1 Peter 2-9. Chosen generation, not chosen celebrities. Royal priesthood, not royal performers. That is distributed dignity, not centralized applause. I want to give you a picture, and I want you to see it with your spirit. Imagine a little boy in short pants, hair neatly parted, eyes bright, holding a toy soldier. Can you tell me who he is? No one knows. He could be a poet, a teacher, a mayor. Now let me tell you who that boy became, Adolf Hitler. Formation took an innocent child and fed him a philosophy of superiority, purity, myths, and social Darwinism until he baptized genocide as governance. Don't you ever again tell me ideas don't matter. A poisonous belief can dress itself in uniforms and pass laws. A sick philosophy can militarize insecurity. Listen, my cousin, leadership outcomes are the grandchildren of belief systems. That is why God spends more time renewing minds than replacing thrones. And while we are here, let me honor the other side of that contrast. Another child, a little girl in a crowded street in Skopje, would grow to be called Mother Teresa, not because heaven dropped charisma into her lap, but because she trained her mind to see Christ in the poorest faces and governed her gift to serve. Formation, not fortune. Stewardship, not stardom. Great leaders never seek followers. They seek to serve themselves to their generation. Now breathe this confession into your ribs. I may be born under that culture, but I will never allow that culture to be born in me. Say it again until your nervous system surrenders. Born under Rome, but not Rome born in me. Jesus was born under the Roman Empire. Taxed by Caesar, policed by soldiers, tried by a governor, but he never let Rome into his philosophy. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. John 18:36. Daniel was enrolled in Babylon's university, fed Babylon's curriculum, given a Babylonian name, but he purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. Daniel 1-8. He was born under that culture, but never allowed the culture to be born in him. That must be your policy. Let me translate this into your daily life. When your company worships the rainmaker and despises the researcher, that's Greek. When your church celebrates the platform and neglects the process, that's Roman. When your school grades you on echoing the chapter but never on solving the neighborhood's problem, that's colonial. Arrest those ideas. Deport them. Replace them with the king's constitution. Male and female created he them. And said unto them, have dominion. Genesis 1:27-28. Them is the death of elitism. Dominion is stewardship over creation, not domination over people. There is neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. Galatians 3:28. That is equality by design, not concession by culture. Write this down like a verdict. The myth of the chosen few produces fans. The truth of the created many produces stewards. Fans clap while the world burns. Stewards roll up their sleeves and rebuild the walls. Nehemiah did not trend. He took responsibility. David did not audition. He served his generation by the will of God. Acts 13:36. That is leadership detox from Greek theater and Roman circus. I beg you today, be delivered from Greek philosophy that turns you into admirers of leaders instead of leaders under God. Be delivered from Roman lordship that seduces you to dominate people instead of govern yourself. Be delivered from colonial curricula that trains you to wait for permission when heaven already issued your mandate. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Conformed is outside pressure. Transformed is inside power. Renew your mind until your beliefs match his blueprint. So here is your eviction notice to the empire in your head. From today, you will no longer say, only the gifted lead. You will say, I will train my mind, govern my gift, and serve my generation. You will no longer say, I'm just a follower. You will say, I am a royal priest. I steward. I solve. I serve. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. I was born to lead, not to lord. I was born to govern myself, not to control you. I was born under this culture, but this culture will not be born in me. And as this truth takes root, The imported myths will lose their visas, and your leadership will step out of the amphitheater of applause into the vineyard of stewardship, where dominion is exercised without domination and greatness is measured by beneficial presence. Now, get your pen ready, because next we will return to the first decree and recover the mandate that sets you free. Listen carefully, please. We are returning to the first decree, the oldest constitution on earth, the original policy document that predates empires and elections. Write it down. When the king speaks first, everything else is commentary. Genesis 1:26-28 reads, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion." Hear it again, male and female, them dominion. Let me exegete this slowly, line by line. Let us make man, that is species language, not gender preference. The Hebrew for man here is Adam, mankind, humanity. In our image, after our likeness. Image means nature, character, essence. Likeness means function, conduct, operation. In other words, be as I am in nature and do as I do in governance. Then comes the mandate, and let them have dominion. Then write it down, cancels elitism and destroys chauvinism. Dominion is not male over female, or rich over poor, or one tribe over another. It is humanity together, appointed as vice-regents of earth under God. Now the key word, dominion, the Hebrew term is rada. Please write it down and circle it. Rada means to govern, to rule, to manage, to steward, to prevail, to bring order, to cultivate, to administrate. That is policy language. That is not about applause. That is about assignment. And the text specifies the objects of this governance. Over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. Creation is your jurisdiction. Systems, seasons, soil, seas. Resources, not relatives. Environments, not egos. The garden, not your neighbor's will. Write this sentence like a law in your soul. The only creature on earth you are not commanded to dominate is another human being. Say it again. The only creature you are not authorized to rule is a person made in the same image as you. That is an ethical boundary drawn by God himself. The Bible commands dominion over things and stewardship of environments, but it forbids domination of people. We serve people, we manage things. If you invert that, you corrupt the mandate and weaponize power. Look at the order in verse 28. "And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful, blessing before burden, identity before responsibility. Then multiply, increase capacity, replenish the earth, restore and refill what is depleted. Subdue it, kavash, bring under order what is wild or chaotic systems, not souls. Then have dominion, radar, govern what you have ordered." Do you see the progression? Formation before administration. Cultivation before regulation. You do not subdue people, you elevate them. You subdue chaos, you govern resources, you steward creation. Tell your neighbor, say it loud, I am a ruler, an owner, an employer, not of people's consciences, but of my mind, my gift, my environment. I own my attention. I employ my talents. I govern my appetites. I steward my assignments. That is dominion without domination. That is leadership without lording. Listen, this is vital for your ethics. Dominion is not a license to control. It is an obligation to cultivate. A farmer doesn't scream at the soil, he serves it. He studies seasons, respects boundaries, rotates crops, protects nutrients. Dominion is intelligent service. It is mastery with morality. It is power under principles. When God says, rada, he does not anoint you to manage people like property. He authorizes you to manage property for people's benefit. Things are tools. People are treasure. Tools you use. Treasure you protect. Let me give you a picture from the word. Joseph rose to power in Egypt, but his leadership was dominion without domination. He governed grain, not souls. He built storage, not prisons for dissenters. He converted insight into systems that fed nations. That is radar. Daniel served pagan kings, but he never proselytized by force. He advised with wisdom, governed his emotions, and influenced policy. That is radar. And our Master Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, what did he do? He took a towel and washed feet. John 13:3-5. All things in his hands, yet he used his hands to serve. That is the kingdom ethic. The rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. It shall not be so among you. But whoever will be great among you, let him be your servant. Matthew 20:25-26. Greatness equals responsible stewardship of assigned territory, not control of persons. Write this policy in your leadership manual. Never use your gifting to manipulate a human will. Your gift exists to solve problems, not to enslave consciences. Prophets serve truth, not thirst for influence. CEOs serve customers, not exploit workers. Pastors equip saints, not recruit slaves. Parents steward children toward purpose, not toward parental ego. Husbands and wives co-rule creation. Neither rules the other. Male and female created he them, and said unto them, have dominion. Equality by design, partnership by decree, governance by service. Let me define the borders of your dominion so you can build within them. You have dominion over your mind, thoughts, narratives, attention. Arrest thoughts that trespass. 2 Corinthians 10:5. You have dominion over your body, appetites, habits, health. Paul says, I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. 1 Corinthians 9:27. You have dominion over your time, calendars, priorities, focus. Teach us to number our days. Psalm 90:12. You have dominion over your resources, money, tools, talents. It is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. 1 Corinthians 4:2. You have dominion over your environment, workflows, teams, gardens, buildings, budgets, code, curricula. Build systems that dignify, not cages that dehumanize. That is your territory. I beg you today, be delivered from any leadership that smells like Rome. If your strategy requires fear to function, it is not radar. If your organization needs flattery to move, it is not radar. If your home confuses silence with peace, it is not radar. Dominion produces stewardship. Stewardship produces trust. Trust produces fruit. You have put all things under his feet. Psalm 8:6. Things, not people. Repeat that until it rewires your reflexes. Things under feet, people at heart. Tell your neighbor, say it strong. My power has boundaries. My authority serves assignments. My gift belongs to God for the benefit of people. I will govern creation. I will not dominate humans. As a man thinks, so he leads. Therefore, I train my mind to think like a steward, so I lead like a servant king. So here is the verdict from Genesis. Leadership is legal when it mirrors the king's nature and honors the king's boundaries. Image authorizes you. Likeness instructs you. Dominion assigns you. Service constrains you. From this day, you will measure your greatness not by how many people you control, but by how faithfully you steward what God placed under your care, your mind, your gift, your environment, for the flourishing of those made in his image. That is dominion without domination. That is the mandate that sets you free. Listen carefully, please. Now that you know the borders of your dominion, the first territory you must bring under lawful order is the mind that decides everything else. Write this down like legislation. A trained mind is the governor of your life. As a man thinks, so he leads. If your mind is untrained, your leadership will be unguided, gifted but dangerous, energetic but misdirected. Before you attempt to lead others, you must renovate the beliefs that lead you. Proverbs 23:7 says, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. I translate for your assignment. As you think in your heart, so you will govern your days, deploy your gift, and serve your generation. Here is the mind training sequence. And I want you to write it down line by line. Exposure, examination, expulsion, installation. Say it with me. Exposure, examination, expulsion, installation. Exposure. Bring your assumptions into the light of truth. In your light, we see light. Psalm 36:9. Open the windows of your mind and let the King's Constitution shine on the furniture you've been sitting on for years. Examination. Be like the Bereans who searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so. Acts 17:11. Question the voices that shaped you, family slogans, school scripts, religious cliches, media mantras. Not with cynicism, but with covenant. Expulsion. Arrest illegal thoughts. Casting down imaginations. Bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. That is governance, language, subpoena, detain, deport. If a thought can't submit to Christ's truth, it loses its visa in your head. Installation. Replace the lie with truth. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth. Meditate day and night, then you will make your way prosperous. Joshua 1-8. Install new operating systems, confessions, principles, policies until your reflex is righteous. Now I will give you renewal practices that make this sequence a lifestyle. Write them down and schedule them. First, daily scripture meditation. Not a drive-by verse, but a sit-down meal. Morning and evening, Joshua 1-8 is not poetry, it is policy. Read the passage aloud. Rewrite it in your own words. Record one obedience you will practice today and rehearse it at lunchtime. The word must be in your mouth before it can be in your mind, and in your mind before it can become your method. Second, journaling, confessions. Your tongue trains your brain. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Write declarations that match your design. Then read them until your nervous system surrenders. Start with this. Say it with me. I was born to dominate over sin, over fear, over ignorance, not over people. Sin shall not have dominion over you. Romans 6:14. God has not given us the spirit of fear. 2 Timothy 1-7. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4-6. So I dominate sin by submission to Christ. I dominate fear by faith and discipline. And I dominate ignorance by instruction and study. Third, curated reading. Please invest in books that renew your philosophy. Reading is how you hire mentors who will not flatter you. Choose 3 lanes. Scripture-centered formation, history that unmasks myths, and skill manuals that make your gift reliable. Don't let entertainment educate your ethics. Your future will be decided by your shelf more than your selfie. Write this down. You cannot lead beyond the language you carry, and books give you vocabulary for vision. Now we must erect cognitive boundaries. Audit your inputs like a chief of customs. Music, shows, sermons. If they celebrate passivity or poverty of purpose, call them what they are. Propaganda for smallness. If your playlist baptizes you in lust, violence, or laziness, that is not culture. That is colonization of your conscience. If your favorite show glamorizes betrayal and you wonder why you can't build trust as a leader, your inputs are writing your policies. If your sermon diet rewards waiting for heaven while neglecting earth's assignment, that's a dumb song dressed in a pulpit. Jesus said, occupy till I come. Luke 19:13. Manage, build, solve, steward. Write this as a boundary. Whatever trains me to abdicate responsibility is illegal in my mind. Let me give you a freedom metric, because some of you mark anniversaries but not mind shifts. Independence is an opportunity to become free. Freedom is measured by thought quality, not calendar dates. How do you measure thought quality? Philippians 4:8 provides the audit. Whatever is true, noble, just, pure, lovely, of good report, think on these things. Set this as your daily checklist. Did my dominant thoughts today tell the truth about God, myself, and others? Did they produce courage or cowardice? Did they provoke stewardship or spectatorship? Isaiah 26:3 promises, you will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. Peace is not the absence of problems, it is the presence of governance in your thought life. When your mind is governed, your storms will have to negotiate with your policies. I want to confront a subtle sabotage that hides in church clothes. The belief that sincerity equals transformation. No. Romans 12:2 does not say be transformed by sincerity. It says be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Sincerity without mental renovation produces religious passion with colonial philosophy. You shout like Zion, but budget like Rome. You sing about dominion, but panic like slaves. Write this down. Passion is a fuel. Policy is a steering wheel. Renew your mind until your engine has a driver. Now, let's rehearse identity, because repetition is the mother of belief. Tell your neighbor, say it bold. I was born to dominate. Clarify it now. Over sin, not over saints. Over fear, not over families. Over ignorance, not over image bearers. Say it again. I govern my mind. My mind does not govern me. I arrest thoughts. I do not host trespassers. I set my attention. Algorithms do not set my agenda. I steward my gift for the benefit of people. As a man thinks, so he leads. And I think like a steward king. Finally, put this into a simple daily order, so you cannot excuse it away. 15 minutes in scripture with voice and pen. Read, rewrite, resolve. 10 minutes of declarations, identity aloud until your chemistry cooperates. 20 minutes of curated reading. Alternate between formation, history, and skill. 5-minute input audit. At night, what did I watch, hear, and repeat today that fought my assignment? Repent, replace, and rest. Meditate day and night. Then you will make your way prosperous. Joshua 1-8. Note the grammar. You will make your way prosperous. God gives the word. You govern the way. This is the verdict. The mind you tolerate becomes the leader you export. Train your mind and your habits will submit. Train your mind and your gift will obey boundaries. Train your mind and your service will become intelligent love. Renovate beliefs before you attempt to lead others. And when they ask you where your authority came from, smile like a citizen of another country and answer, I was born to lead by governing me. I train my mind. I govern my gift. And now I serve my generation with dominion that dignifies and power that has principles. Listen carefully, please. The next territory under your administration is not your neighbor, it is your gift. Write this down. Your gift is an innate capacity entrusted by God for the benefit of others. Your difference is your assignment. James 1:17 declares, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. And 1 Peter 4:10 adds the job description. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Hear the key words. Received, stewards, minister. You did not manufacture your gift, you received it. You are not the owner of your gift. You are the steward. The metric is not applause, it is ministry. Your gift is a delivery system, not a mirror for your ego. The king hid solutions in you for other people's problems. That is why your difference is not a decoration but a duty. Let me do a little etymology so we can convert superstition into stewardship. The word charisma comes from charis, grace. In Greek culture, it was romanticized as gifts of the gods, a mystical sparkle for the select. That mythology made people spectators of the anointed few. But in the kingdom, charisma is grace for service, not sparkle for stage. Paul writes, having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, let us use them. Romans 12:6. Use them, govern them, deploy them for benefit. Write this down. Charisma without character is theater. Charisma under governance becomes trustworthy power. The world claps for performance. Heaven promotes stewardship. Now, boundaries. Power without banks is a flood. With banks, it becomes a river that turns turbines and lights cities. Your gift is power. Without boundaries, it will drown you and the people you claim to serve. So I will give you boundary rules. Please write them line by line. Schedule, skill drills, mentors, moral guardrails. Schedule. Excellence is a calendar before it is a crown. Proverbs 22:29 says, seest thou a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings. Diligence is scheduled devotion to a craft. Block time for the practice that no one sees, so that God can trust you with platforms everyone sees. If you are a teacher, schedule hours of study and lesson building. If you are a coder, schedule algorithm drills and architecture reviews. If you are a singer, schedule scales, breath work, lyric theology, and rest. Jesus rose a great while before day to pray. Mark 1:35. If the sinless Son scheduled, you must schedule. Write this. My gift has office hours, skill drills. Repetition is the mother of reliability. Paul told Timothy, stir up the gift of God which is in thee. 2 Timothy 1:6. Stirring is action. Do focus reps, not random attempts. Deliberate practice transforms flashes of brilliance into consistent light. The parable of the talents is not a fairy tale, it is policy. You have been faithful over a few things, I will make you ruler over many. Matthew 25-21. Faithful over a few notes, a few lines of code, a few clients, a few sermons. Rulership follows reliability. Write this down. Govern your repetitions until excellence becomes reflex. Mentors. Your gift needs older eyes. In the multitude of counselors there is safety. Proverbs 11:14. Choose mentors who love your soul more than your spotlight. Ask them to critique not only your product but your process and your posture. A mentor will save you from shortcuts that sell your future for applause in the present. Elisha poured water on Elijah's hands before he wore Elijah's mantle. Service precedes succession. Write this. Submit my gift to audit. Moral guardrails. Unmanaged desire will vandalize your destiny. Your gift will attract access to money, sex, and power. Set your policies before the invitation arrives. Flee also youthful lust, 2 Timothy 2:22. Abstain from all appearance of evil, 1 Thessalonians 5:22. Establish rules for finances, transparent accounting, third-party oversight, clear pricing that honors people, not exploits pain. Establish rules for relationships. Never counsel alone in secret contexts. Keep digital boundaries. Honor covenants. Establish rules for power. No threats, no manipulation, no prophecy for sale, no leveraging sacred language to coerce human wills. If your gift requires fear to function, it is illegal in the kingdom. Write it down. My power has principles. Let me teach you the economy of trust. People don't ultimately follow titles. They respond to predictable value. Titles can open a door once. Trust keeps it open. Trust is a savings account built by consistent deposits of excellence within moral boundaries. Jesus said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. Matthew 5:16. Good works, predictable fruit, turn charisma into credibility and credibility into influence. The world is tired of performers. It is starving for predictability. If people can forecast your honesty, your punctuality, your preparation, and your purity, they will trust your gift enough to eat its fruit. Write this. Consistency is currency. I must confront a popular heresy. When God is ready, He will lift me. That is partly true and dangerously incomplete. God promotes stewardship, not sloppiness. The king will not put a crown on an undisciplined head. Paul said, I discipline my body and bring it into subjection, lest I myself should be disqualified. 1 Corinthians 9:27. If the apostle feared disqualification, you must fear drift. Do not confuse being used with being approved. Balaam prophesied, Samson performed. Both violated boundaries. Grace on your gift is not permission for chaos in your life. Let me give you a governance you can practice tomorrow morning. Turn your gift into policy. 1, write a weekly production quota that measures service, not vanity metrics. Lessons taught that transformed. Code shipped that solved. Meals cooked that nourished. Cases closed that brought justice. 2, create a feedback loop. Invite 3 truth tellers to score your output on excellence and ethics. 3, schedule a Nathan appointment monthly. Someone authorized to confront you like Nathan did David. If you cannot be corrected, you cannot be trusted. 4, practice Sabbath boundaries. Rest is governance, not laziness. Burnout breaks banks. Broken banks flood villages. I must add this line for some of you zealous entrepreneurs and ministers. Do not monetize before you moralize. The itch to scale can outpace the spine to sustain. Money magnifies habits. If your habit is secrecy, money will make you a quiet tyrant. If your habit is service, money will build hospitals. Govern the heart, then grow the house. It is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. 1 Corinthians 4:2. Required, non-negotiable. Now, breathe these declarations with me, because your tongue is a thermostat for your culture. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. My gift is holy, not a hobby. Say it again. My gift serves people. It does not seduce people. Say, this excellence is my habit. Integrity is my harness. Consistency is my currency. I govern my schedule. I drill my skills. I submit to mentors. I honor moral guardrails. As a man thinks, so he leads. And as a steward governs, so a generation eats. Here is the verdict, and write it as law in your spirit. Mastery with moral boundaries converts your gift from performance into public trust. When your mind is trained and your gift is governed, you will not have to chase followers. Fruit will attract families. The manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. 1 Corinthians 12:7. Profit withal, common good, public trust. Govern your gift until your presence becomes a predictable blessing and your power becomes ethical service. Then the king can place you before kings, and the people can rest in the shade of your discipline. Listen carefully, please. Now that your mind is trained and your gift is governed, the question from heaven is simple. Who is benefiting? Write this down. Greatness is measured by the benefit your presence brings to your generation. Not by your brand, not by your following, by your benefit. Jesus set the policy, and I want to read it like law. Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. Matthew 20:25-28. Hear the line. It shall not be so among you. That is Jesus outlawing Roman leadership in his kingdom. He didn't cancel greatness. He redefined it as service. In the kingdom, the scepter is a towel. Write this down and circle it. Measure leadership by problems solved, not people controlled. The rulers of this world count heads. The leaders of the kingdom count healed. The rulers of Rome love to lord it over. The citizens of heaven love to lift burdens off. You do not prove leadership by how many obey your voice. You prove it by how many lives are made better because you arrived. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father. Matthew 5:16. Good works, beneficial presence, public blessing that points to the King. So I am instructing you, stop hunting followers, start locating needs. Your gift was designed to meet, write it like a map. Pain reveals my assignment. Patterns reveal my strategy. People reveal my stewardship. Where is the pain your gift consistently soothes? Where are the patterns of dysfunction your mind repeatedly orders? Who are the people your skill predictably equips? Go there, serve there, build there. If you are a teacher, don't chase a bigger room. Chase the gap in literacy in your neighborhood and turn your lesson plan into a ladder. If you are a coder, stop drooling over venture gossip. Look for systemic waste in clinics, schools, and small farms, and write clean code that turns chaos into efficiency. If you are a chef, feed dignity into food deserts with nutrition that honors bodies made in God's image. If you are a policymaker, design laws that protect the weak and correct the strong without selling your soul to donors. This is service. Taking your governed gift to the place of greatest need and making it reliable there. Let me give you service metrics, because what gets measured gets multiplied. Write these down. 1 problem solved per week. 2 people equipped to solve without you. 3 systems improved for long-term benefit. 4, trust increased among those you serve. If your chart shows many followers but few solvers, you are building a stage, not a society. Jesus did not merely gather crowds, he formed disciples. He fed 5,000, yes, but he also trained the 12, then the 70, then sent them to do likewise. And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of ministry. Ephesians 4:11-12. Do you hear it? The saints do the work. Real success is succession. Write this as a legacy law. If everything stops when you leave, you didn't lead, you hosted. Moses served his generation by preparing Joshua. Elijah served his generation by anointing Elisha. Paul served his generation by writing letters that outlived his chains, and by charging Timothy, the things that thou hast heard of me, commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also. 2 Timothy 2:2. That's 4 generations in one verse. Jesus served his generation by giving his life and then giving his spirit so that every believer could become a conduit. He said, greater works than these shall ye do. John 14:12. Leaders multiply leaders, not dependents. Write it down. Succession is the proof of service. There is a verse I want you to engrave in your soul because it defines the finish line. For David, after he had served his own generation by the will of God, fell on sleep. Acts 13:36. Not after he entertained them. Not after he controlled them. After he served them according to the will of God. Your obituary should be simple. They served. They took their governed gift and laid it on the altar of public good until cities changed and children smiled differently. You were born to lead by serving your generation with disciplined love. Let me confront a subtle vanity that wears church clothes, building dependence and calling it discipleship. If your team cannot function without your presence, you did not build capacity, you built a shrine. If your business requires your panic to ship quality, you did not build a system, you built a circus. Write this policy. Empower until my absence is not a crisis. Jesus ascended and the church expanded. That is leadership. If your ascension would collapse the work, repent and retrain. Now, activation. Write these down as this week's service assignment. Identify 3 recurring pains among the people you are called to name them. Precisely. Design one repeatable solution that your gift can deliver weekly without drama. Train at least one person to execute that solution at 80% of your capacity. Mentor them toward 95 through feedback. Establish a gratitude ledger, document testimonies not to stroke ego, but to steward evidence that fuels endurance. And set a monthly succession meeting where you review who is growing, who needs coaching, and who you must release to lead. This is how greatness becomes a culture, not a moment. Say this with me. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. My greatness is my service. Again, my presence is a blessing, not a burden. My gift is a towel, not a throne. I solve problems. I do not collect people. I multiply leaders. I do not manufacture dependents. As a man thinks, so he leads. And I think like a servant king. Here's the verdict. Write it as covenant. Greatness is measured by how effectively you serve your generation with your governed gift. When your mind is trained and your power is principled, your life becomes beneficial. Presence policies of love, systems of dignity, solutions that outlive your name. Serve until others can serve. Lead until others can lead. And when you fall on sleep, may your city keep waking up to the fruit of your discipline. It shall not be so among you that you lord it over. Among you it shall be service that crowns you. Listen carefully, please. Do not confuse deliverance with freedom. Write that down. Deliverance is an event. Freedom is a process. Deliverance removes the chains from your wrists. Freedom removes the chains from your mind. Deliverance gets you out of Egypt. Freedom gets Egypt out of you. The Bible gives us a case study so precise it is a syllabus. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel was 430 years. And it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt, Exodus 12:40-41. 430 years of slavery ended in one night. A Red Sea opened in a day. But how long did it take to extract slavery from their thinking? 40 years. God led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near, but God led the people about through the way of the wilderness, Exodus 13:17-18. He took them the long way around to get Egypt out of their heads. Let me provoke you with geography. The distance from Egypt to the promise is a short flight. I have been on that route. By air, it is minutes, less than an hour. 40 years to complete a 4 or 5 minute flight. Why? Because the longest journey in leadership is not across deserts. It is across dimensions of belief. You can relocate your body in a day and still spend decades relocating your mind. As a man thinks, so he leads. They walked out from under Pharaoh's whip, but Pharaoh's whisper remained in their memory. Here they complained in Numbers 11:5. We remember the fish, the cucumbers, and the melons, and the leeks, and the onions, and the garlic. Slavery had a menu, and nostalgia baptized bondage as comfort. Write this down. Appetite can be an anchor. If your taste buds are loyal to Egypt, your feet will circle the same wilderness. God enrolled them in Wilderness University because independent people require renewed mentality. Deuteronomy 8:2 explains the curriculum. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart. Humble, strip the pride that prefers predictability over purpose. Prove exposed policies hidden in your heart. No surface your private philosophy. He fed them manna daily to detox them from hoarding and teach trust. He instituted Sabbath to deliver them from productivity as identity. He gave law at Sinai to convert a crowd into a country. He organized leadership, tens, 50s, hundreds. Exodus 18:21, to replace panic with process. He guided by cloud and fire to replace superstition with submission. All of that was mental governance, replacing slave reflexes with citizen reflexes. Write these definitions, please. Deliverance, release from external domination. Freedom, readiness for internal self-government under God. Independence, the date on a calendar. Responsibility, the weight on a conscience. Policy, the written rule. Philosophy, the unwritten ruler. If you install new laws without new logic, you will reproduce bondage with fresh stationery. Paint the plantation and it remains a plantation. Change the flag and keep the fear, you have a decorated dungeon. Policy without philosophy is makeup on Pharaoh. Be delivered today from believing that a change of masters is the same as mastery of self. Now the national and the personal walk together. Many of our nations boast independence dates yet bleed dependence mindsets. We fly flags but still pray for Pharaoh to fund our future. We switch parties but keep Roman lordship in our pulpits and Greek elitism in our classrooms. We crown new leaders who were born under that culture and allow the culture to be born in them. I beg you today, be delivered from Greek philosophy that says leadership is for the superior few and the rest must follow mindlessly. Genesis still speaks, let us make man and let them have dominion. Genesis 1:26. Not some men, man, male and female. Dominion is stewardship of creation and self, not domination of people. Independence is an opportunity to become free. Freedom is a generational project of renewing belief until responsibility is normal. Consider the generational pivot in Numbers 14. The old generation trained in Egypt's kitchens said, let us make a captain and let us return into Egypt. God loved them, yes, but he could not take nostalgia into nation building. So he waited for a generation born in the wilderness, children who learned manna management, not Egyptian rationing. Joshua 5-9 says, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. They circumcised their hearts at Gilgal, cut away old identities, and the manna ceased when they ate the produce of the land. Joshua 5:12. Did you catch the policy change? From welfare to work, from miracles to management, from daily handout to annual harvest. Freedom smells like farms, not fear. Freedom tastes like fruit you planted, not onions from a master's pot. Write the transition protocol for your life and for your nation. New laws, yes, but first new logic, line by line, please. 1, rewrite definitions. Wealth is not cash. It is capacity to create value consistently. 2, rename heroes. Celebrate builders, not celebrities. Stewards, not stars. 3, retrain appetites. Prefer process over instant spectacle. Prefer education over entertainment. Prefer truth over tribalism. 4, restructural authority. Move from personalities to principles, from charisma to character, from miracles to management. 5, replace complaints with contracts. Set covenants, write policies, build systems that survive moods. This is how you exit Egypt's mentality. Galatians 5:1 declares, stand fast therefore in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again. Again is the danger. You can be delivered and re-entangled. So set boundaries for your mind. Audit nostalgia. When pressure rises, do you reach for Egypt's comfort or Canaan's calling? Do you long for leaks or reach for land? Do you crave masters or embrace management? Answer honestly and adjust intentionally. Now declare with me, because your tongue must tutor your soul. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. I am not only delivered, I am becoming free. Again, I reject nostalgia for bondage. I exchange servitude for responsibility. I accept the wilderness curriculum that prepares me to manage promise. I will not die in a short distance, long time loop. I am a ruler, an owner, an employer of my own mind. As a man thinks, so he leads, and I think like a citizen of the kingdom. Here is the verdict. Freedom requires a generational mindset shift from servitude to responsibility. God can bring you out in a night, but he will take the time it takes to build a new people in you. Embrace the long way if it means a lasting way. Govern your beliefs, then your borders. Install philosophy before you write policy. And your promise will not become another Egypt with better branding. Listen carefully, please. Worlds are ruled by words. Hebrews 11:3 declares, through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God. If God frames worlds with words, you must frame your life, your family, and your nation with definitions. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Write this down. Language is legislation. Vocabulary is invisible law. When words are muddled, worlds become muddled. When terms are clear, destinies are clear. This is why the serpent's first tactic in Eden was a definition dispute. Hath God said, confuse the word and you corrupt the world. I want to do etymology because it rescues us from slogans and returns us to substance. Please write these line by line. Democracy, demos people, kratos power, people power. Now hear the truth. Democracy cannot survive without self-government. A vote cannot replace virtue. Ballots cannot replace boundaries. You cannot outsource character to a constitution. Proverbs 14:34 says, righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. If the people have the power but lack principles, democracy mutates into demagoguery. Charismatic wolves herding ignorant sheep. So write this definition. Democracy is citizen stewardship, not spectator sport. It is a discipline before it is a date on a calendar. Elections are audits of culture. They reveal what the people believe about truth, money, sex, power, and neighbor. If you want better leaders, shape better citizens, begin with your own mirror. Now, politics, policity. Politicos of the citizen. Politics simply means the stewardship of our shared life. It is not entertainment, not tribal warfare, not gossip for talk shows. It is the art of ordering the city so that the image of God in every person is protected and promoted. Jeremiah 29:7 commands, seek the peace of the city and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. Write it down. Politics is policy shaped by love of neighbor. If your policy punishes the weak to please the wealthy, it is not politics. It is predation with paperwork. If your politics stirs fear, harvest votes, you are trafficking in Pharaoh's economy. In the kingdom, leadership is stewardship, not stardom. He that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Matthew 23:11. So leaders are custodians, not celebrities. They manage common goods, not manufacture cults. Economy, oikos house, nomos law, management. Economy is house management. Prosperity is not winning a lottery. It is governing a household. Jesus gave us economic policy when he said, gather up the fragments that remain, that nothing be lost, John 6:12. That is inventory. Joseph designed supply chain resilience. Let Pharaoh appoint officers. Take out the fifth part and lay up corn. Genesis 41 to 34, 35. That is savings, taxation, storage, distribution. Proverbs 27 to 23 says, be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks. That is data. Write this down. Economy is disciplined management of resources to serve purpose across time. If your house leaks through waste, no miracle can outgive mismanagement. If a nation glamorizes consumption and mocks prudence, it will import dependence and export dignity. Miracles may open seas. Management builds roads. Now let us contrast cultures. Rome believed leadership meant lordship, control of bodies by the few, compliance by the many. Jesus outlawed that motto. Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion, it shall not be so among you. Matthew 20, 25, 26. The kingdom defines dominion as stewardship over creation and self, never domination of people. Genesis 1, 26, 28. Write this. Kingdom before culture, ethics before institutions. Institutions are containers, ethics are content. If you pour greed into democracy, you get corruption. If you pour service into power, you get justice. Psalm 89 to 14 says, justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. God governs from character, so must we. Charters without character are stage props. Only righteousness makes laws live. I must challenge a modern heresy, confusing performance language for policy language. We describe politicians as rock stars, officers as brands, budgets as vibes. That is adolescent vocabulary masquerading as governance. Replace it with biblical and classical clarity. Stewardship, prudence, accountability, equity, justice, mercy, competence. Words stabilize worlds. Isaiah 33 to 6 promises, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. If your lexicon is shallow, your times will be shaky. Write these definition laws for your life and your leadership. 1. Define leadership as service through a governed gift. 2. Define power as capacity to do good within moral boundaries. 3. Define wealth as a sustained ability to create value, not to consume vanity. 4. Define success as succession. Others doing the work at an excellent standard without your panic. 5. Define freedom as discipline, self-government under God, not absence of restraint. 6. Define justice as giving each his due in truth and love without sale to tribe or terror. When you define these, policy becomes predictable. When you refuse to define them, manipulation writes your minutes. Let me give you application, because I am teaching you carefully, line by line. For democracy, build citizen schools, start at your kitchen table. Weekly, teach your family the constitution of your house. Truth-telling, time stewardship, budget management, neighbor love. For politics, attend the city meeting with solutions, not selfies. Ask, how does this policy protect the poor while empowering productivity? For economy, create a household, profit and loss, tithe, save, invest, insure, and give with targeted purpose. Set percentage rules so emotions do not embezzle destiny. For kingdom ethics, install pre-temptation policies. No secret meetings that compromise integrity. No financial fog. No weaponized religion to control consciences. Write them down. Sign them. Live them. James 3 says, the tongue is a rudder that steers great ships. Your definitions are the rudder of your destiny. Tell your neighbor, say it loud, clear words, clear worlds. Again, definitions. Deliver nations. Say, this muddled words make muddled worlds. Not in my house. Not in my city. As a man thinks, so he leads. As a people speak, so they steer. Today we retire sloppy speech and enthrone precise terms. We choose kingdom ethics to fill our institutions so that our democracy is citizen stewardship, our politics is city love, and our economy is house management that multiplies dignity. Here is the verdict. Clear definitions create clear destinies because language governs how we govern. Write it, teach it, repeat it, enforce it. Let the words of your mouth and the meditation of your heart become the policies of your life. Acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. Psalm 19:14. When your vocabulary is redeemed, your village will be rebuilt. Listen carefully, please, because I am going to teach you with models, warnings, and wins. Write this law down. Trapped in every follower is a hidden leader awaiting belief, renovation, and skill governance. Potential is God's gift to you. Stewardship is your gift back to God and your generation. Proverbs 23:7 says, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Are recoded for leadership. As a man thinks, so he leads. Your beliefs are blueprints. They quietly hire habits that construct your future. Formation fuels outcomes. Govern the inputs and you will transform the outputs. Let me begin with a cautionary tale, because warnings save time. A little boy grows up in a town where the morning pledge is superiority. His father says at the table, we are the chosen tribe. The rest exists to serve our advance. His teacher whispers, power is for the strong. Mercy is for the weak. His playground rewards cruelty with applause. He is praised for memorizing slogans, not mastering self. He is fed a curriculum of contempt. Greek elitism, repackaged. Leadership is for the special bloodline. The crowd must comply. He becomes a teenager with a microphone and a grievance. The first time he leads a march, he learns that fear can move a city faster than love. Years pass. Policies follow his philosophy. Opponents disappear. Books are burned. Journalists are jailed. He calls it order. It is organized oppression. James 3:6 warns, the tongue is a fire, a word of iniquity, and it sets on fire the course of nature. Formation became flames, and ideology became an inferno. We often pretend monsters are born. No, they are formed. They are the product of a syllabus. Ideas assigned by family, sung by culture, enforced by systems. Write this down. When supremacy tutors a child, tyranny graduates a man. When Rome's notion of lordship, rule people, not yourself, sits in your soul, you will reproduce Rome in your office, your church, your nation. That boy was born under that culture and allowed the culture to be born in him. Guard your heart, says Proverbs 4:23. For out of it flow the issues of life, policy, policing, payrolls, prisons. Ideas build people. People build policies. Policies build or break generations. Now the winds, because hope must have a face. Consider Joseph. Sold, slandered, forgotten, but he trained his mind and governed his gift. He refused bitterness because boundaries are part of stewardship. He did not use his gift for personal revenge. He used it to interpret dreams and design systems. Genesis 41 records that Pharaoh said, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? Thou shalt be over my house. Invitation followed integrity. Competence, clothed in character, becomes irresistible. Joseph did not dominate people. He stewarded grain, time, and trust. He built a supply chain that saved nations. Formation became famine policy. Governance of self became governance of systems. Consider Daniel. Deported teenager. New language, new university, new menu. He was born under Babylon, but never allowed Babylon to be born in him. Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself. Daniel 1-8. That is mental governance pre-temptation policy. Daniel 6-3 says, an excellent spirit was in him, and kings kept promoting him across administrations. Excellence plus ethics equals endurance. He stood before kings because he first knelt before God. He interpreted dreams, yes, but more importantly, he arranged civil service with honesty. He did not seek followers. He served his generation. Proverbs 22:29 promised it, cease thou a man diligent in his business, he shall stand before kings. Diligence is the passport. Excellence is the visa. Character is the residence permit. Let me give you living testimonies, because some of you think this is only Bible time. Write these down. They are case files of common people who governed inputs until outputs changed. A classroom teacher in a rural district refused to surrender her students to statistics. She trained her mind through night courses, governed her gift by writing a literacy curriculum with measurable milestones, and served consistently. Within 3 years, literacy went from 42% to 88%. Evidence speaks louder than elevator pitches. The ministry invited her to write policy, classroom to cabinet, not by selfies, by stewardship. A coder in a small clinic saw nurses drowning in paper. He studied medical workflows, set ethical boundaries, no data leaks, no kickbacks, then wrote clean software that cut wait times by 60%. Hospitals noticed. Nations called. He did not network into corridors of power. Excellence escorted him. A farmer started a cooperative with 10 neighbors. He installed rules, transparent pricing, shared storage, training days. Yields doubled. Post-harvest losses dropped. Children returned to school. An international buyer signed a contract. Then a development bank funded cold rooms from field to foreign markets because someone governed a gift with moral boundaries. Write it down. When you manage what you have will introduce you to who you need. There are also biblical warnings that echo today. Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel, 2 Samuel 15-6, with charm and grievance. He gathered followers without submitting to formation. No self-governance, only cosmetics. The end? Collapse in a tree gift tangled in ego. Contrast David. He shepherded them with integrity of heart. With skillful hands he led them. Psalm 78-72. Integrity beliefs aligned with truth. Skill, gift governed by discipline. That combination turns a shepherd into a statesman. Say this quietly to yourself. I will not steal hearts. I will serve hearts. I will not ride momentum. I will master myself. Now synthesize the lesson. Please write it line by line. Formation fuels outcomes. Ideas build people. People build policies. Policies build or break generations. If you feed your mind the Romans' lust for lordship, you will design departments that crush the weak. If you feed your mind the king's mandate dominion as stewardship of creation and self, you will craft systems that multiply dignity. If you practice until your gift is predictable, under pressure, trust will promote you above platforms. Promotion is not magic. It is the math of reliability plus righteousness. Activation. Because sermons must become systems. Choose your inputs. 1 books that tell you the truth about God and man. 2 mentors who measure you and refuse your excuses. 3 disciplines that make your gift boringly dependable. 4 boundaries that keep you clean when opportunity knocks. Write a 90-day formation plan. Daily reading quota, weekly skill drills, monthly ethics audit, quarterly service project with metrics. Track your outputs. Problem solved. People equipped. Systems improved. Trust increase. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. Govern inputs. Transform outputs. Again, ideas in, excellence out. Excellence in, invitations out. As a man thinks, so he leads. Here is the verdict, and I want you to engrave it. From hidden potential to public trust is not luck, it is formation. Train your mind until truth becomes reflex. Govern your gift until competence becomes culture. Serve your generation until doors open that networking cannot pick. Then, when kings call, you will carry a towel, not a throne. And your policies will preach what your mouth once said. Leadership is self-governance expressed as stewardship, not domination. Listen carefully, please. Sermons must become systems. Inspiration must become itinerary. Write this down. Structure compounds character. 30 days from now, you will not be the same person if you submit to governance. I am teaching you carefully, line by line, because destiny is measured in days, not in slogans. This is the 30-day governance plan, rituals, rules, and relationships. So your mind, your gift, and your service begin to compound into trustworthy leadership. Rituals first, because repetition rewires reflex. Daily, give God 50 minutes to frame your world with words and to train your hands with work. 20 minutes, scripture meditation. Open Genesis 1:26-28 and Matthew 20:25-28. Day 1, read Genesis aloud slowly. Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Circle, let them, male and female. Dominion over creation, not people. Day 2, read Matthew. Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion. It shall not be so among you. Whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. Underline it. Shall not be so among you. Alternate the passages daily. Ask 2 questions and write the answers. What does this reveal about my identity? What behavior must change today to align? Chew the words. Don't snack. Meditate. Joshua 1-8 says, thou shalt meditate day and night, then thou shalt make thy way prosperous. Prosperity is a byproduct of meditation, not manipulation. Second, 20 minutes craft drilling, not study drilling, reps. If you write, practice concise paragraphs with a 150 word limit and clarity rubric. If you code, ship 1 unit tested function with no regressions. If you teach, rehearse a 5-minute micro lesson and record for self-critique. If you lead a team, simulate a 10-minute stand-up with timed agendas and measurable outcomes. If you sell role-play objections and record your tone. If you manage money, reconcile yesterday's transactions against your budget with 0 discrepancy. 1 Corinthians 9:27. I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. Bring your gift into subjection until excellence becomes boringly dependable. Third, 10 minutes, identity declarations, because your tongue tutors your soul. Stand and say them aloud. I was born to lead by mastering myself. I am a ruler, an owner, an employer of my own mind. I have dominion over my appetite, my attitude, my assignment. I do not dominate people. I serve my generation with a governed gift. I am faithful in little. I will be trusted with much. Luke 16:10. As I think, I lead. As I speak, I steer. Say it again until your atmosphere knows your address. Now, rules weekly. 1 skill benchmark, 1 integrity audit, 1 service act aligned to your gift. The skill benchmark must be specific, timed, and graded. Example. Increase typing speed to 60 WPM and 98% accuracy. Reduce code defects by 30%. Deliver a 7-slide briefing under 5 minutes with 0 filler. Harvest 10% more produce through improved irrigation. Counsel 3 clients with documented outcomes. Choose one. Write the rubric. Take the test every Friday. Chart your trend. Excellence is evidence. Evidence earns trust. Integrity audit next, because secret rot collapses public structures. Choose a weekly window Saturday morning and review these. Receipts, reports, relationships. Receipts, every dollar aligns with your values. No fog accounts. Reports, did you deliver what you promised when you promised? No creative excuses. Relationships, any boundary breached? Eyes clean, hands clean, heart clean. Matthew 5-8 says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Purity clarifies perception. Leaders need sight to govern. Document 1 adjustment each week. Repent quickly, repair completely. Service act aligned to your gift weekly. Not random charity, purposeful contribution. Teachers, host a 4-5-minute free literacy lab. Technologists, volunteer 2 hours optimizing a non-profit's workflow. Farmers, share best practice training with 5 neighbors. Accountants, help a small vendor set up simple books. Doctors, offer a community screening. Builders, fix a widow's step. Matthew 20:28 declares, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. Service is your metric for greatness. Make it measurable. Relationships, monthly, because success is succession. Schedule 3 meetings within 30 days. 1 mentor meeting. Sit with someone who argues with your excuses and enlarges your standards. Bring your scorecard. Ask, where am I lying to myself? What one habit, if installed, would double my value? 1 peer accountability session. Gather 2 equals. Share your benchmarks, audits, and service outcomes. Ask, what did you see that I didn't? Agree on a consequence for missed commitments. 1 mentee investment. Identify 1 person hungry and humble. Transfer a skill, a system, and a standard. 2 Timothy 2:2 says, commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. Multiply yourself. Legacy is leadership proof. Now, an input's fast for 30 days. Write this down. What you consume, you become. Evict passivity and poverty from your playlist for 30 days. No songs that celebrate laziness, lust, or fatalism. No sermons that romanticize suffering and demonize stewardship. If the message makes you wait for rescue instead of work your responsibility, turn it off. Replace with governance content. Genesis 1 commentary, Matthew 20 teaching, Nehemiah's wall building strategy, Joseph's famine management, Daniel's civil service excellence. Add materials on budgeting, time blocking, project management, ethics, communication. Curate a playlist labeled governance. Schedule it. Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Guard your gates. Scorecard, because what gets measured gets multiplied. Track value delivered, not followers gained. Write these columns. Problem solved, people equipped, time saved, errors reduced, revenue created or costs avoided, systems improved, gratitude received. Each day, log at least one line. Weekly, total your value metrics. If the numbers are low, don't chase likes. Increase service. Isaiah 32:8. The liberal noble deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. Devise generous outcomes, and you will stand. Followers are confetti. Value is currency. Service is the metric. Organize the 30 days by weeks. Week 1, install the rituals. Set your first benchmark. Conduct your first integrity audit. Choose your first service act. Schedule the mentor. Week 2, raise the benchmark slightly. Repeat the audit. Serve again. Meet with peers. Week 3, attempt a stretch benchmark. Repair any integrity breaches. Deepen service. Meet the mentee. Week 4, consolidate. Review your scorecard trend. Document lessons learned. Write next month's plan with stricter standards. Proverbs 27:23. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks. Know your flocks. Your time, your talent, your tools, your tribe. Tell your neighbor, say it loud. Structure creates stature. Again, rituals, rules, and relationships produce results. Here is the verdict. Structure your life so your mind, your gift, and your service compound into trustworthy leadership. 30 days from today, if you meditate like a king, drill like a craftsman, declare like a citizen, benchmark like a scientist, audit like a priest, serve like the Son of Man, fast foolish inputs, and measure value, not vanity, you will feel the weight of trust begin to rest on your shoulders. And when trust finds structure, leadership ceases to be a speech and becomes a stewardship under God. Listen carefully, please. We have built the scaffolding rituals, rules, relationships, and now we seal it with a covenant and a commission. A speech stirs, a covenant steers. Write this down and say it with me. Because your tongue tutors your soul. I was born to lead by mastering myself. I will dominate nothing human. I will govern my appetite, my attitude, and my assignment. I will govern my gift until excellence becomes predictable. Genesis 1:26. Let us make man in our image, and let them have dominion. I receive dominion as stewardship over creation and self, never domination of people. Matthew 20:26. It shall not be so among you. I align with the king's code. Now the mind renewal vow. Romans 12:2. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I evict Greek Roman myths from my philosophy. The lie that leadership is for a special bloodline. The lie that power is control of people. The lie that charisma replaces character. I enthrone kingdom stewardship in my belief system. Leadership is service through a governed gift. Power is capacity to do good within moral boundaries. Greatness is measured by value delivered to those I serve. As a man thinks, so he leads. Therefore, I will think like a citizen of the kingdom, truth before tribe, principle before personality, stewardship before stardom. Now the service pledge. Say it clearly. I will serve my generation with excellence until successors exceed me. 2 Timothy 2:2. Commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. I will not hoard competence. I will harvest successes. I will make my ceiling their floor. I will build systems that survive my absence and standards that rebuke my ego. Psalm 78-72. He shepherded them with integrity of heart. With skillful hands he led them. Integrity and skill will be my signature. I am faithful in little. I will be trusted with much. Luke 16:10. When kings call, I will carry a towel, not a throne. Community charge. Now tell your neighbor, say it loud. You are a ruler, an owner, an employer of your gift. You are not a beggar of permission. You are a steward of purpose. Clap for their future, because honor activates destiny. Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpeneth iron. We are a covenant community of sharpeners, not spectators. No jealousy here, only joint jurisdiction under God's mandate. Follow through, because covenants breathe through discipline. Keep learning scripture daily, skill drilling daily, ethics weekly, service weekly. Keep serving, track problems solved, people equipped, systems improved, trust increased. Keep governing, mind your gates. Reconcile your accounts. Repair your breaches quickly. Extend your 3-0 day plan to 90. Then to a lifestyle. Practice until excellence becomes boring. Document until trust becomes transferable. Mentor until multiplication begins without your microphone. Proverbs 4:23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Guard your belief system, because policies flow from hearts before they land on paper. Now lift your conviction in this closing declaration. Say, today I enter a leadership covenant under God. I bind my lips to truth, my hands to diligence, my eyes to justice, my feet to service. I reject the empire in my head and embrace the kingdom in my heart. I will create value, not vanity. Pursue justice, not jerseys. Protect the weak, not pamper the wicked. My leadership shall be self-governance expressed as stewardship. My greatness shall be measured by benefit, not by brand. I will finish my assignment and prepare successors in the fear of God. By the authority of the king's word, let them have dominion, and it shall not be so among you. I commission you to your classrooms and clinics, your farms and factories, your code bases and council rooms, to serve your generation with a governed gift. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of your times, Isaiah 33:6. May the words of your mouth and the meditation of your heart be acceptable in his sight, Psalm 19:14. Go now, born to lead, trained to serve, govern your mind, govern your gift, and give your generation the gift of your stewardship. You are commissioned